Welcome to the Flash, guys. We're live.
What's up?
Joe,
Welcome
how
back.
are you?
Yeah, look at the dynamic trio. How about that? Switching it
that's
up. Claire, how you doing this fine evening?
I am well. It is always a good evening on the flats. Can we call it the flats? Is that?
I've been calling it the Flats.
Yeah, I
cool,
like
so
that.
have I.
I love the
But
flats,
I wasn't
yeah.
sure if it was trendy or not.
Yeah.
I like that. How about you, Nick? How you feeling?
Yeah, good, man. It's good to see you guys again from the first episode and the third episode.
Third
Yeah,
episode.
early
So
days.
some of the early guests back.
Look at you now, huh?
Yeah.
Living large.
Yeah, dude.
Living large.
It's been fun.
Joe Rogan, watch out.
After the last podcast, Benaya and I may have had a large conversation about how we should both start podcasts. Never happened, but I thought it was so cool. I was like, I'm going to host a podcast.
Yeah, I feel like the podcast game is that's where I'm consuming a lot of my content these days.
Well, I
yeah.
actually forgot to renew my Spotify subscription. You know when you forget to pay it and it gives you like 3 months or something? I just didn't pay it. I was like, I've got time and I still haven't renewed it. So I've just been doing podcasts. I've been at the gym listening to personal finance podcasts.
Look, I'm about it. Pharrell's got a podcast and I've been consuming that big time. Just he's really into star signs, which I know nothing about. And
Do you know what you are?
born in July, that's
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm an Aries.
Okay, I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
I hear you're moving to Melbourne and leaving us all.
It is true. Do you know what though? I don't know if I've like properly announced it.
Okay, is this the announcement? Is this the official
Maybe.
announcement?
Like, I think I put it on my Instagram story, but because of the last lockdown, in the back of my head, I'm like, what if everything shuts down again and I'm not moving? So I was like, it would be really awkward if I'm moving and then I tell everyone and then I'm not moving.
Okay, but it's pretty
But
much a
it's-
done deal.
Yeah, I have a date.
Yeah.
April 9th.
Yeah.
I will be moving, which is sad.
It is sad.
It's bittersweet.
I mean, we had a little chat about it, but refresh the memory. Why after, I mean, you know how I feel about Canberra.
I do. I was thinking about this on the way over, actually. You are like the biggest cheerleader of Canberra, which I really respect. You told me about the baseball team. The Canberra
Cavalry.
There's the ice hockey team, the baseball team. I couldn't remember which was
Brave.
which. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Come on.
See, there you go.
Come on. But yeah, why are you leaving?
Look, my honest answer is moving to a new city as a single person has always been the biggest life goal.
Wow.
Like, and it really has, like, besides, it's not really a career move. It's more like a personal development move.
Full romanticism.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
looking for the man of your dreams of Melbourne.
Well, no, not even to like date. No, just because I just think it's a cool idea to just like move and discover a new city on your own. I think that's really cool. I definitely have listened to way too many main character playlists. And I just think it'll be lots of fun. But like as well as like career stuff in there. I
Yeah.
think Melbourne's got a really cool music scene going. And we'll see how we go. But
Have you always
yes.
been in Canberra? Yeah.
Born and bred.
Yeah.
So I've always been a Canberra gal at heart. So I reckon I'll be back on the reg, but I don't know. I want to kind of live my big city dream.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Melbourne Steeds happening.
Yeah.
You're doing it all.
Yeah.
You're there.
I feel like Rachel Berry in Glee when she moves to New York, except I'm moving to Melbourne.
I don't know who that is.
I keep chucking out these references. I'm going to stop saying some references.
Yeah, I've started being really honest about how many references I don't know lately. And it's been really refreshing to not do that whole thing where you pretend that you know what people are talking about and you do the awkward laugh. Because every once in a while, someone will like keep referencing and then I'll look
You
even
just have
more
to
like
be
an idiot.
I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
so I've just started being off the bat like, haven't watched it, don't know what it is.
Is there an awkward silence when they're like, oh?
No, I think it just people move on pretty quickly. Are you a big movie person?
No. Straight up, no.
Me neither. We have a mutual friend, Kirk, who
Dan Kirklandd.
yeah, Mr. Danny Kirk, who
Keyboard Kirk.
Papa Pelly, goes by many names. He's a big movie buff and he's always throwing movie references at me. And every single time we end up at, you haven't watched that, have you? And the answer is always, no, I'll put it on the list. There is no list. There never will be a list, but I'll get to it. Which, non-related, but I watched Coming to America 2 the other day.
Look, I haven't seen Lord of the Rings. That's how bad my movie
But have you watched the original Coming to America? Oh,
What are you talking about? I didn't get home and Google this and be like, I've made a grave mistake.
Okay, yeah,
It was on TV the other day.
Oh,
I don't watch that much TV. Anyone who knows me knows this.
no. Don't worry about number 2. Don't waste your time. Number
Okay.
1 though.
Oh, really? It was
Okay.
that bad.
Look, it probably wasn't that bad, but I feel like it was an unnecessary sequel. It was a we can, so let's do it. Not a
Like Shrek, when they went way too far.
yeah.
Yeah.
Seems to be a common theme these
Like it's
days.
all the
like
industry and the money and
the remakes and the
what's it about?
sequels.
What?
I'm not even gonna try to.
Oh, okay.
You just gotta start a list. I know you'll say you put it on the list, but
I'll put it on the list.
Yeah, I'm gonna message you every day until you watch it.
Look, I wish I was more of a movie person because I feel like cinema lends so well into imagery, but more of a book gal.
Book gal.
Love a book.
Wait, what is? I actually don't know your background into photography.
Don't you?
No.
Oh. So I did photography in school because I had a spare line to fill in year 11. And I was like, it can't be that hard. It's pressing a button. What's going to be so hard about it? So I took it as a course and then I realized it was actually quite hard. And I went to my teacher and I was like, I want to drop it. I don't like it. I want to do ceramics instead. And he got very mad at me and was like, you can't keep changing your courses, Claire. And he freaked me out into staying and I ended up doing really well. And then I went to art school for it. So I did a Bachelor of Visual Arts in Photography. Yeah, so I think I did about 4 years of art school in the end. Went overseas and studied photography overseas for a bit on exchange.
Why is it in my mind that when we met, you were like, I just had this impression that you were just like, photography seems cool. Let's take photos.
No,
and then you were just
no.
good really fast. It all makes sense. It's not an overnight success.
No.
Yeah.
No, not really. So my background's in visual arts. So I did a
Wow.
minor in art history. I went to the art gallery the other day. I was like, oh, that's Renoir. Yeah, that's my background.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, so I definitely didn't know that. I
Really?
fully thought,
That I just picked up a camera and was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, well, we kind of met randomly, so I don't think there was no pretext
We met
to
so
us.
randomly.
Yeah, a lot of, I guess, our mutual friends we meet through music or through that kind of scene.
Do you remember how we met?
Um,
Because I do.
Not particularly, no.
Oh, we were at a party. And I sat next to you and you were like, hello. And I was like, hello. What's your name? And I was like, my name's Claire. And you were like, I'm Kojo. What do you do? And I was like, I take photos. And at the time I had no idea. Well, like I knew who Citizen K was, but I didn't know it was you. And so I remember you were like, what do you do? And I was like, I do photography. And you were like, how can I support? And I was like, you can follow me on Instagram, I guess. And then I get like Citizen K follows me on Instagram. And I was like, oh, you're that guy. And yeah. So
Yeah,
it's interesting.
true that.
I didn't get to know you as Citizen K. I got to know you as like Kojo, which I think has been really interesting in terms of like the relationship that we've kind of formed.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think in recent years, I've definitely been doing the more introducing myself as myself and just
well, look,
being
if
myself.
I had a rap
yeah.
project, I wouldn't walk up to someone and be like, hi, my name's Claire, I have a rap project. Like, I can totally understand. I feel like I would be like, hi, I'm Claire. You know?
Yeah, but I also think like around the time we met, which has been like what, 2 years, 3 years?
2-3 years, yeah.
Yeah, around the time we met, I think I was in that taking a break from the whole CK thing as well. So I was like in this weird, like, fuck CK mode of like, I want to be behind the scenes. I want to hide away. I want to be a cog in the machine, the music machine, not the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like sit at a desk all day machine, but yeah, I think I was really trying to like separate myself from that side a little bit. But yeah, I remember our first time we met, like not that met, but like we took time to actually meet, had a coffee. Yeah. Yeah. And you were in that whole like, oh, should I start?
Yeah. Well,
like, what do I do?
Yeah. You were quite instrumental in, I guess, like watching me grow the last few years because you were there at the start and still here now. So, yeah.
Watching you move to Melbourne.
I know. Come visit. You have a free place to stay when I find a house. Well, what was the start of Citizen K like for you? Because you had, you know, that project and then you kind of took a break and now you're kind of coming back.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes. No, the start was very, very much just a ignorant high schooler making music. was in a crew called Wilkins and Kay.
Were you actually?
I was. We made beautiful R&B love songs.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, we did. Prior to that, I was in another band called D and K for Dane and Kay. Very
Nice.
classic name. It was just a drummer and my friend Dane on drums and myself on guitar. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, I was in a band called Fine Lead.
I love these band names.
Yeah, band names are all the rage.
I was once in a band as well. Yeah, bet you didn't know that. So we called ourselves the Happy Useless.
That's a fantastic
It's a pretty
name.
cool name, right?
Okay.
And our thing was that we didn't make music. We just told everyone that we were in a band. And eventually, like, one of us started to take, it wasn't me, but one of us started to take it way too seriously and wrote this, like, really awkward, like, love song that I found on my iTunes the other day. And I was like, oh, gosh, this is... Yeah, but that was our thing. We even took band photos and everything and told everyone they're in a band, but we never made anything, and that was our thing.
Damn. Okay, well, I mean, I didn't know you could play or pretend to play instruments.
I played the flute
Okay.
when I was in middle school.
Okay.
That I always wanted to be musical, but yeah, didn't really eventuate, which is fine. Like, I'm super happy with doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, but you're still in music in a sense, which is the other thing. Like, you started a bunch of other projects alongside the music photography, or like doing photos. You started like another Instagram page for What
Like
happened?
the recent one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was my problem is I like do things too hard and too fast. So I'll like go into something and be like, yes, I'm going to do this. And then like I'll kind of maybe lose interest and it'll fade out. But that was my lifestyle project. So sometimes people hit me up and ask me to do like their engagement photos or food photos recently. I've been getting really into food photography. So yeah, it's like I'm thinking it might be a cool side hustle.
Yeah, well, because I've always known you as like a music photographer, which is a very specific genre.
It's very
of-
niche. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, seeing you do lifestyle photography, is that the official?
Yeah, lifestyle it would be like music is very niche, so that would be something else I can do. Like I have a camera, I might as well make use of it.
Yeah.
Music is such a niche thing, and during COVID I was like, well, music's not necessarily happening in the capacity we're all used to. So how else can I be creative and do this?
But you're still doing like press shots and you're still pretty involved even outside of
A lot
gigs
of
happening.
press shots. It almost like got bigger with COVID because I think a lot of bands were like, all right, let's actually regroup and think about our PR. And so a lot of people came to me and I was like, okay.
And we
Here
kind of
go.
start having that conversation as well of like certain conversations. One in particular that I remember was things like as a musician and someone who tours, having a photographer who actually is on the whole tour with you and helps establish the aesthetic and the vibe of everything. And apart from the great actual performance shots, all the behind the scenes stuff.
Well, I'm a big documenter. Like I believe in documenting because that's my favorite thing about photography, and that's where my roots are anyway. Like documentary photography as like an art form is so beautiful, and to combine that with music, like there have been so many incredibly famous photos that have come out of that, and to be able to take those photos and be a part of that makes me excited. Like I'm first and foremost a fan, so to be involved in any capacity is really exciting, but to be involved in a capacity that makes me really excited is like the best.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I think, I don't know, because you know me well enough to know that the visual side is not my game.
Well, you know me well enough to know that I'm never going to have a rap project.
Look, we can hope. We can pray
We
and
hope
for
that
the
it
best.
never comes out.
No,
I totally
I hope it
DJ'd a
does.
set the other day.
You didn't.
I did. Just a little tangent.
What did you-
Josh Garrard and I
Okay.
DJ'd. We had a crisis-themed party.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Yep. And we put together a DJ set on Josh's plastic decks, and we got like this terrible club music. And because the party was crisis themed, we got like news clips from like the global financial crisis and like Dan Andrews announcing Victoria's a state of emergency, and put that up against like this terrible club music. And just, I didn't really do any of the mixing, but I pushed the siren button.
That's the most important part of the job.
The most important part, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that was me. And
We're in. Nick knows.
And I was like the hype gal. Josh did everything else, but I was like,
Get in there.
get in there.
Get in
It
there.
was the highlight of the whole time. It was a massive rave.
That's so hectic. Out of
Sorry,
my
back to what you were
yeah.
saying.
What were we? That's the start of before I was going back through my many forms of being Kay. So fast forwarding back again to I was just as Kay for a while. Put some stuff on Unearthed, and my manager and agent kind of found me through Unearthed, and then yeah, everything kind of kicked off really fast, and I don't think I knew what I was doing. I don't think me kind of know what's going on now.
That's my favorite thing. No one knows what they're doing,
including
me.
Yeah, fully.
Yeah.
And the more people you meet, that even the people that you I guess we perceive as like high achieving, they're also just like, yeah.
I was like, oh,
just
what's
fully
going on
winging
here?
it.
We're just winging it. Yeah.
Fully winging it. And it's comforting.
The weirdest part is though now I feel like people think that about me. Like they look at me and they're like, wow, she must know what she's doing. No, not
It's
at all.
It's just this perceived confidence. Like, yeah, it's all a confidence game, and it's this idea of, I guess, someone said this to me the other day, the law of action, of like actually just not getting stuck in plan mode and just doing, and just by seeing people in motion, I guess we have this perception that they're just like killing it. And the other side of that is with social media, documenting the action.
Yeah.
That's been an interesting thing. I've recently made my way back to socials.
Yeah, I noticed. I was like,
yeah.
you posted.
Yeah, I know, right? Posting, look at me go on Instagram, like a real youngin'. But a couple of my friends that I hadn't seen for a while were like, "Man, you seem so busy. Like, I see you're all over the place." And I was like, "Oh, I'm not any busier than normal." But just that pure thing of seeing the posting and the social side of it just gives people this perception that there's so much going on.
It's a very curated experience.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
There's this really cool song by Baby Queen, and it's all about, the song's called Internet Religion, and she talks about how she likes herself better when she's online and all this stuff, and I was like, oh, that's real. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, there's this hard, I don't know, I've been trying to be on socials but also detach as well. So we've been fortunate to like get a couple new members on the team, and one is like a socials guy. Temba, who's just been incredible. Yeah, he's definitely like reads in the same way that I guess like we all have our own little disciplines that we're super immersed in. He's just so immersed in like the matrix of social media.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole algorithm.
It's a whole thing.
It's rough.
It's a whole thing. It is so time consuming.
Yeah.
But that's been like finding the middle ground for me as someone who doesn't particularly enjoy like being on my phone.
You're not big on socials.
Well, it's not necessarily being on socials, but I'm
yeah.
just I've been trying to be conscious of phone usage and being on being on my phone.
What's been happening?
That was the beginning of back on socials, posting your photo actually.
Do you know what the funny thing about this photo is? And I think I've told you, but I had to do a lot of work on this photo, not for you or anything, but because like it was just so like not contrasty. So I really had to do a lot of photoshopping to bring it back, because I think it was just really hazy and I think my lens fogged up. And
Wouldn't know.
But there it is.
I just look at it and I go, damn.
Yeah,
She made me look cool.
I guess that's a really interesting thing that like I would love to talk about, is that like I don't know anything about music. You probably, I don't want to say you know nothing about photography, but like that's probably not your, I know that's not your domain. And it's really interesting like having the conversation with you about all that, because we kind of come to the table at the same time but do completely different things that are both of value to this industry.
Yeah. Well, it's the team, like the whole team mentality of realizing what everyone's part is within a creative team, you know. And I think people forget, using music an example, with music, there are all these other sides of it that technically fall in the music industry, but are really their own disciplines, like photography and the visual side of it. Like that's a whole other art form in itself. And it's just, I think it takes a while for me anyway, took a while to really understand and appreciate how different everyone's like skills were, but then how they all needed to tie together and how much they actually needed to communicate together to get that final product.
Yeah.
Like so many of the artists that I love, if you kind of look at them, I'll use my current favorite, Pharrell, as an example. Just seemingly so cool, which he is, I'm sure. But like the
what
team
went into
that goes
to make him look like that?
Yeah, I'm sure he is just genuinely cool. But like the team around him, I think people always forget that. Even with his production stuff, like the Neptune stuff, Chad, the other guy, part of the Neptunes, like people generally don't know Chad, but they all know Pharrell, and Pharrell's kind of like the face of both their productions. And it's just been this real massive realization that I've had recently of how important it actually is to have that team around you to make that like beauty. I don't know.
So question for you then. Is Citizen K like a character then? Or is Citizen K like separate from you, like mentally? Like how does that work for you?
Yeah, so CK is, in my mind, evolving a little bit now at the moment. Like I said, like took a bit of a slight break.
Well deserved.
Yeah, just to, I thought I was really meant to be all in production, but I think I figured out now that I like having a few multiple ways of pursuing music. Not solely as an artist, not solely as an engineer producer, but I think I'm like from here on out, it's going to be kind of a thing of both and more probably.
Yeah.
What'd you ask me?
Like, is Citizen K like a character,
Yeah,
or like how is that an
that's right.
extension of you, or
Yeah.
not an extension of you?
So going out of the production thing, they became very separated.
Yeah.
Before that, CK, the whatever perception of Citizen K there is was 100% my personality. Like way too much energy, bouncing off the walls.
It's so fun though.
It's very fun.
Your shows are so
Yeah.
fun to photograph.
Yeah,
I am like there bopping along.
It's great to embody the man I call Citizen K. And that was definitely me when I was like, 12 to 25. That was definitely me. And then, yeah, like I said, just took a bit of time away from it. And now it's been this process starting from this year and a little bit last year of kind of reintroducing CK, but allowing, sounds weird, but me as Kojo and Citizen K's character to become the same person again.
Yeah, that's
So,
really interesting.
Yeah, just showing like more of the multifaceted aspects of what I do and what I love, and not all just being this artist that loves like funk mixed with hip hop. Yeah, and that, I guess for me, that opens the doors to be more experimentative and to experiment more and to try new things and not feel weird about it. Yeah, so I think having them both, having the CK project embody myself more.
I think the best way to think about it in terms of what I'm learning is to see them as projects. Like, because I probably have multiple different projects. Music is a large one of them. Yeah, probably in a similar way to Citizen K is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's an important way to do it. But I think it is in terms of like creating, I have found refinding the freedom in just creating and then being like, that's it. There you go. Instead of, I think for years I've been making music and creating things that no one's ever heard because I've been like, this is cool, but is it Citizen K?
Yeah. And like how your personal brand and how you it's weird because like there's some things that I won't post because I'm like, oh, is that on brand for what people know me as? Or
yeah, I was going to ask that for photography. So you feel that as well with?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think like if we're going to talk about marketing and having a certain brand, it's much easier. Or like my audience and like clientele really grew when I just focused on the music side of things. And I actually have now been trying to separate like my personal life a little bit out of it. Because Instagram's how I get jobs and how people will find me most often. So I'm probably not going to post a picture of my coffee on my feed because that's an advertising avenue and that's quite often how people find me. So like my brain is so often like, the irony is that I'm pretty content dry because like there's a lot of photos that I'm sitting on at the moment that I just can't post because they're in line with people's campaigns and that's sensitive until those campaigns come out. So it's a mix of trying to be like what is going to be useful for my brand and what I've been building, but what is also like me. And I'm really big on showing people, I guess, the not so glamorous sides of what we do. Because I think people look at the music industry and think of it as like, oh, we go to shows and, we sit in green rooms and we, drink the Rider and...
Which we do. I'm
I'm
unapologetically like so into it.
I'm such a snob now.
Yeah.
I think like festivals especially, I don't like going to festivals unless I'm in the green room. And I've told you this so many times, but
We're all in the same boat.
I just want my personal space.
Yeah.
And that's like another great thing about photographing is people leave you alone. Like they see you with this big camera and a flash and they're like, oh, get out of the way. It's great. You could go into any show and just carry this big machine and people will like part like the Red Sea. It's amazing.
It is. And it's weird. I was talking to my partner about it not long ago. And I realized I was complaining about the perks of being an artist. I was just like, yeah, it's so tiring just like being at this gig all day and
So
like
hard.
having to go backstage and just like interact, and it's so socially draining. And then I like heard what I was saying and I was like,
shut up.
yeah, come on, man.
Yeah.
You're living all right over here. You're doing okay.
But that being said, like that is like 20% of what goes on. What people don't see is like the hustle and the gunk.
Yeah,
that
well, you
can be
took a bit
so
of a
hard.
break from
I did.
everything, really.
Yeah, I just got way too burnt out. There was like a while where I was like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. Because I think the hard thing for me is my success innately relies on the success of the people that I work with.
Right.
And so sometimes like the hustle just gets too hard. And by nature, I think it's a lot of networking. I'm like a big networker. I will always be on my phone messaging someone. And that just gets so draining. And there's a point where I'm like, I actually need to get off my phone. So I will quite regularly, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see me sometimes just be like, I'm off this for a week. I cannot. And I'll just read a book or do something else. Because it's like, and, you know, I can't have the expectation that everyone else lives on their phone 24/7. And I think like people work like 9 to 5 jobs and then after that, they're not contactable. Why should I be contactable all the time? Like I can't be answering messages at 11 o'clock at night, but I am. And I need to not be.
Yeah. I was talking to someone else about this recently, actually, like setting boundaries.
Boundaries are huge.
Yeah.
I love boundaries.
I mean, I do now. I was saying, like, when I started the more production stuff, this is the third year that I've been like full-time with production and full-time music. And I was just like thinking, it hasn't even been that long, but in that first year, my whole philosophy was like, I'm here whenever you need me. If you have an idea at 4 a.m., like you call me, I will listen through it with you. Like, I don't care what is happening. I'll get out of bed and I will give you that time, which I totally meant at the time.
That's really honorable of you, but...
Well, my whole thing was like, I know what it's like to have that idea at 4 a.m. and just to want to share it and just be like, you got to hear this.
I am asleep at 4 a.m. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm asleep too, but I was very willing to because at the end of the day, like it is a blessing for us to work with artists and other people. And
Yeah, absolutely.
I really didn't want to take that for granted. So I wanted to show how much I wanted to be invested in the other projects, which was important. But then I think, it definitely got to a time where I was actually getting like 1, 2 a.m. calls to hear rap verses.
Oh, you actually... Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I'd be like... Ooh.
Yeah. Just sit there and listen to a rap verse for about 5 minutes at 2 a.m. and then be like, sounds great.
Oh,
and
no.
not remember it in the morning.
Yeah.
So
Voice memos are great for that.
Yeah. Well, now I'm just like, hey, wake up at 4 a.m., do a voice memo and
That
send it to
sounds
me
so
at a reasonable
practical.
time.
Well, what is your writing process like? Because if I could write songs, I feel like they'd be really excellent because I have... Just hear me out.
Wow, the flex. The flex
No,
is
but I
real.
can't, so that's why it's not a flex. But like, I feel like...
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like sometimes I'll have an idea or I'll see something, but I can't write about it. So I've actually started messaging people like Dan Kirklandd or Nicole and being like, I have an idea. And I literally messaged like Groovy Daughter the other day and I was like, hey, this just happened. Do you want to put it into a song? And I don't know if she will, but she told me that she was. So we'll see. But like...
Declare writing credit on the Groovy Daughter track.
No, I don't want... Anyway.
It could happen.
Well, so it was... I turned 24 the other day.
Woo!
I always thought I'd have my life together by 24. We'll see how that goes. But I was in the emergency room, like at the ER, when the clock was ticking over. And I was like, I am turning 24 in the emergency room. Wow. And like that line just really got me. And I was like, I can't do anything with this. So I sent it to Nicole.
Nick just triggered something in my mind of credits. Where are you on crediting? been
Well, I really
credited for
hope I
photos.
get credited in my
Yeah.
songs.
Sorry?
That's an interesting one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Huge.
okay.
Crediting makes the world go round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you real, like anal about it? Like, if something gets posted, you're like, yo,
Yeah. Yeah.
Nick?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Nick has a creative.
for photographers.
Mm.
Yeah, and use on social media and stuff. Is that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like that's got to be a must.
Most people are pretty good about it, but there is the
Yeah.
odd occasion, and I've had to do it in the past. I felt really awkward doing it, but I saw one of my photos went up on this like blog, and my name wasn't there, and I was like,
Hey.
"Hi, I took that photo. Can I
Get a credit.
slide in there?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it the same for video stuff? Are you pretty on top of that?
I don't personally mind about that actually.
True that.
Oh.
No, I kind of like even not being credited at all. I like
look
the
at this
anonymity.
Really?
I
Really?
don't know why,
On his Banksy shit. Just
but the whole thing of every music video having like directed by, you know, the director every clip. I don't really prescribe to that, but I don't think it's a problem for people that do it.
interesting.
But yeah, I guess the crediting thing becomes interesting for artists when it's themselves are in the photo and use it.
Mhm.
That's where I think some people get lost on about who's on the crediting thing. And I remember there was I think it was at Groove and the Moo with Danny Brown or something had a big story about that, and he was like, "It's me.
Yeah.
I don't know who the fuck you are. I'm
Yep.
just gonna post it." But I think that's shifted now.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
throwing it out. I'm pretty sure that was Michelle. Michelle Hunter
Oh,
took that
really?
photo.
Mm.
Yeah.
Was-
Michelle.
was it Groove in the Moo in Canberra? Yeah.
I don't remember where it was, but I feel like she had at least it was with Danny
It was
as well.
something
unless-
like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know Michelle's really big on credit.
She's huge on it. She's
Yeah.
actually the one that really got me to
Yeah.
be like any photos that I post. There's like Michelle's voice in the back of my head being like, "Did you credit?
Well-
did you tag them in there? They like,
Yeah.
do people know?"
Yeah.
Yeah, because she pulled me up a couple times on it, and a couple like articles and stuff that were getting that didn't have her proper credit. Yeah, she's definitely the one that got me way more like keeping an eye out for it, and making sure that her credit was on just because she was taking a lot of the press photos a couple of years ago when we were doing a lot of stuff. So yeah, and I understand. Like I came to understand it better as well, because at first I think I was in the same thing of like, well, it's a photo of me. Like, yeah.
It was
Yeah.
weird. I remembered.
Is she on there?
Yeah.
Does it say?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
there we go. She is the queen.
Yeah. And she's so incredible, but especially in like
And it's
such a
good
social media
photo.
world, it's
That's-
so dope.
That's why.
It's so dope. And especially someone who's that high profile, like
Mm.
something as simple as a credit on her name could get her so much work.
Yeah, like, because a lot of stuff is word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And it, like, I don't use paid advertising or anything.
Mm.
The only way I get work is if people know who I am. And that goes through, like, photo credit. And after a couple of years, it's, like, gotten enough where probably most people will kind of see a photo and can kind of see that it's mine.
Getting the signature happening.
A little. That's nice.
Because it's been, I was having, talking with like other producers about the same thing. Like personally for me in production world, I'm actually more like Nick, where in the past anyway, up until now, I'm rethinking it now, but I haven't been particularly concerned about getting a credit with the productions that I do or the writings that I'm involved in.
Is that like a reflection of how you feel about the work, or is that just you're not really concerned about it?
Yeah, it's I guess for a long time in my mind, it's just been I've been sought out and I've been lucky to get to work with someone else and help them realize their art. And it's, although for a lot of it I get to be super involved, at the end of the day, I'm still just like, I get paid for my work.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it a little bit too. Like, it's their product. And, they're just paying me to do it. But I know that's not the case totally. But
Yeah.
Well, that's even funny for our videos. All of them have been your concepts. All of them have been your art. Like I bring the music to the table and you do the rest. So it's like when I think about it like that, in the same way with production, like I have a few, like a fair few the artists I get to work with are that same thing where they might have a section of the song or whatever, and I'm trusted enough now to get to run with it however I want to do it. But at the end of the day, I'm still just like, I got paid for that, and that's my service, and the rest is yours now.
I don't think like that at all.
Yeah, which is like I'm now started trying to think.
I think the photography is a bit different because people aren't paying for it.
Especially the live stuff.
Like you're not getting a credit on the corner of an album cover that you've made. But when it is just like taking it on social media and sharing it, that's a bit different. Maybe.
Yeah, most people are pretty good about credit. I think like where it comes into play with me is like who owns the photos that I take, because like I own them, but these people who pay me to take their photos, like they're welcome to do what they like with them. Generally speaking, I do like whenever I take someone on and work with them, I do have like a few ground rules. Like I don't want anyone to like edit my photos after I have. Like if someone and I've had that before, and I've had to be like, hey, if you want an adjustment, like let's work together on it. Please don't whack a really, really ugly Instagram filter over it, because that reflects badly on my brand. Like people can see this photo with this awful filter and see that I did it. And like the only time I don't want credit is when I don't like the photo. So it's like if someone posts a photo that I took that I don't like, I won't worry about the credit. But I also like don't like it when people whack really ugly text on my photos. I can't handle it. Like I actually can't. There's like maybe like one person, two people who I trust to put text on my photos. And it's like it goes back to that idea of brand, like being really protective of it.
Well, the filter thing's one I had to learn as well.
Oh no.
Yeah, I dare say Michelle again pulled me up on it.
Oh.
I thought the Instagram filter looked cool in my my visual ignorance. And once again, but I think that's what it came down to, like, which is why I speak so highly of Michelle. Apart from her skill, she's very open and just upfront as well. There is so much transparency in what she does, and like with the credits. So you were saying you still consider yourself as like you own the photo is, because I've never actually thought about that.
It's
like,
something that I'm looking into.
Okay,
I don't really know how that works just yet.
Yeah,
like in terms of like boring things like copyright.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm going to need to look into. Yeah. In terms of like intellectual property and how that ownership
actually works.
Because it's getting to a point where like in running a business, there's a few things that I need to like learn.
Because in my mind, like that last photo that Nick just had up as well, that was pretty much all Michelle. Like I was just the subject of the paint, and we ended up using it as the cover.
That was one of the last photos you took as well, hey?
Yeah.
From that shoot. Yeah, I remember you telling me about it.
Yeah, the very end of the shoot, we'd spend all day.
Wasn't she just like, I have some paint?
Yeah, she's like, how do you feel about getting paint poured all over you? And I trust her dearly. So I was like, yep, if that's what you want to do.
Go for it.
And it was literally her, like she was to the point of telling me where to put my hands. Direct, like where to look, how to
just
tilt my head.
Just some general direction.
No, she was like pretty specific with direction. Okay.
Yeah. You kind of have to be, I suppose.
Yeah, but then from a service point of view, we paid for the images, right? So in my mind, I'm like, well, yes, her artistic vision, but like I've paid for it, so that's why I'm interested from a photographer's point of view. Like I would walk away being like, obviously always credit, but we own the images and we can do whatever we want with them now.
Yeah, that's more or less like where I sit with it. As long as people aren't taking away from the work that I've done on it, or at least without my permission, they're welcome to do whatever they like with it. I just, ask that there's credit in a similar way to probably Michelle.
Yeah.
What is interesting though is like a lot of the times, like I've had to stop giving people like all the photos that I take. I didn't give them everything, but I've definitely reduced the amount of photos that I give, because so often the photos that I dislike the most are the ones that an artist uses, and I swear it happens every time. So I have to like really do this quite brutal process where I'm like, do I want to see this on the internet?
Yeah.
No, delete. Not in the Dropbox.
Yeah. You're straight delete?
No.
Or just
no.
from them accessing it?
Yeah, from them accessing. I just won't even show them, because I used to make the mistake of just like showing them everything, and they'll be like, oh, what about that one? And I'm like, no.
True that.
So
potentially boring content, but how do you both feel about archiving?
Oh, it's
I
something
save everything.
Yep.
Yeah, I save everything.
yeah, same. Investing in some solid state drives.
Yeah.
So again, sorry if this is boring. After a shoot, I will back everything up, and then I will back it up to a separate spot again. Because I had this moment where I thought that I like overwrote a card, and I had to do my least favorite thing ever in the world and explain to the artist that I'd lost all their photos.
Yeah.
And it turns out that I hadn't. It was a completely different
happened,
card.
That happened to me with one of your videos.
Oh,
Really?
No, oh
And
no.
I don't think you ever knew.
No, this is
Probably for the best. I made the mistake of telling people, and I was like,
what?
oh,
What,
shoot.
what video was this?
It was Go Figure with your bro.
Kofi, yeah.
And it was like a later night shoot where we wrapped up, and I came home tired, just chucked the camera in, the card in, and then it didn't work. So
no.
So I put it back in the camera to check if it was still in there, but I deleted it instead of like went in and like, because it just popped up like, do you want to do it? Like something fucked up.
Did you like recover it? Is that how you got the files?
Yeah, and then I got onto Gumtree and found this like dude in Harrison who was just working out of his like garage, because I was panicking. I was like,
I love how this is news to you.
yeah, I was like, fuck, I've just deleted
Oh,
all
I know that
fucking
feeling
footage.
too well.
And it's actually my favorite video that we
Yeah, that's.
we
I was
did.
gonna say that's like
that's my favorite.
That's my favorite the video.
So I was like freaking out, and then he managed to get it all back.
Dude.
And with some clips like a bit fucked, but
Yeah,
it kind of
because the
worked.
more you
Yeah.
use that card, the less likely it's going
Yeah.
to recover.
Yeah, so that was the lesson: is don't override the card.
Don't
'cause
do
it's
it.
still there. And it was bringing up bits of video from like old like shoots on that
Oh.
card too. It was real weird. But
Damn.
got everything back, luckily.
Oh, thank
Well,
goodness.
now I know.
Yeah,
Years later, how many years later?
Yeah, that was
You finally came to.
that I learned my lesson on that one. And
Yeah.
then I just slow down, like, just take your time, like.
Yeah, I've recently had to learn this lesson the hard way as well. Is why I brought that up.
Did you lose something?
I lost everything.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So, like, all the artists I work with in Canberra, and
Oh, that everything.
Oh,
yeah.
dear.
So even like working on a couple bigger projects as well, like outside of just music, that was just like. Yeah, hard drive was just like, it was my last. I have like 3 drives in my computer, and 2 of them have been upgraded to solid state, and there was the last like hard drive, and I could hear it like ticking, and I was like, yeah, I should probably look at that soon,
Oh, no.
and I just kept putting it off. And there was a point I was doing like an upgrade, and my friend's dad, Jimmy Pike, his dad is in IT, and he was just like, I noticed you don't have a like a cloud backup or anything on your computer. And he's had to talk me into getting a cloud backup. Pain in the ass to set up, but once you set it up, it's just there, and obviously you're good. To the point where I forgot about it. So when my hard drive, literally was working on stuff one day, came in the next day, opened up a session, and just all the files from the session were gone. And I just sat there, and I was just like, yep, okay,
Yeah.
yep.
There is-
Yeah, big freak out. So all the people listening that
Oh,
work
no.
with me, I recovered everything,
Oh,
just
cute.
about.
A happy ending.
Yeah, we managed to recover 87% of the hard drive. So there's a few other things,
Oh, no.
but the other stuff has been like super old stuff. But that's what caught me out as well. Someone came in that we hadn't worked on a project for like, I don't know, 4 years.
Oh.
Hadn't worked on a project for a long time together, and he's like, "Hey, remember that track we did like 4 years ago? Can I redo that verse?"
Yeah. Like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was like, "Actually, no. That's gone.
Oh no.
No more. We're done with that.
There was a point where I was like, if I'm going to be a professional, which now people are calling me a professional, I'm like, I need to act like it and I need to get my archival shiz together.
Yeah, for all you creatives out there, back up.
Back the heck up.
Yeah, I've been hearing my friends and producer friends have similar horror stories, and every time I'm like, that sucks. But also in the back of my mind, I'm like,
That'll never happen
yeah,
to me.
that'll never happen to me. Yeah, now I have my cloud backup, my
Solid
I think
state.
3 hard drive backups.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have an offshore backup?
I don't
Do you have
know.
a backup
What
somewhere
is-
else? What if your studio burnt down?
Well, that's what the cloud backup is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mate.
But even with that, I had to learn that lesson. So when it all happened, I was like, remembered the cloud backup was there. And I was like, okay, everything is there. And literally, I'm talking like everything. And I started re-downloading everything. But it was obviously so much content that I was like, oh, well, it's there. It's safe. If I ever need it, I can come back to it. So it's all here at least until I get my new computer. What I didn't realize was in the fine print is because it automatically syncs up to your computer already, holds it for 30 days. So yeah, I downloaded all the projects I was working on, and yeah, 30 days went past, and I went to access a file, and it was like all just grayed out, and I was just like, contacted them and like, yeah, so it just gets deleted off our servers after 30 days, like unless you pay for this extra. Yeah, and it's just, so that was like another big lesson, and that's why I had to get the hard drive recovered. Yeah, and around the same time, another friend who I won't mention his name, but also lost a lot. He'd like done all this work, and then
We're all professionals, I promise. We all know what we're doing. Please hire
just
us.
done all this work, and yeah, unfortunately, heavy damage to the hard drive, and just lost like 5 different projects that he'd been working on that week, and just like that. Just like lost all this content.
No.
Heartbreaking.
This is just scary.
It's
Over
heartbreaking.
there.
Back up your shit now.
Please.
And the artists also back up your
Well, that's the other
stuff
thing.
you get delivered, because I know for sure a lot of people I make stuff for never touch it. It's like straight on YouTube, which is fine.
Yep.
That's a backup as well. But your photos, you keep them all.
Dropbox
Yeah.
is expensive. Like, I actually can't afford to have every single project that I've ever done on Dropbox. So I actually think I'm going to need to start telling people, please download these because they will be taken off this server in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, that's so important.
I go like 4
4
versions
weeks.
of Dropbox, so with like different emails.
Oh, so you don't pay.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah, look at this guy.
that's a
Cheat the
good idea.
system. That's
and
a
Google
fantastic
Drive,
idea.
like, and
Yeah, I
just
have
get
like
all
4
the
Google Drives.
different shit everywhere.
Yeah, from an artist point of view, that's a good point. Artists back up as well, because every once in
Yeah.
a while, people like me will lose your stuff.
Yeah,
So-
well, it's definitely something that I've been thinking about, being like, please make sure that you back this up because I can't keep this on a server.
But also, from a professional point of view, I guess it's also our jobs to do that.
Yeah, it's super weird being a professional because I don't necessarily feel like a professional, but someone.
Wait, what defines a professional?
Well, see, that's my question, because someone messaged me the other day and asked if we could work together, and I gave them some. They were like, "How much do you charge?" Like all of this, and I gave them some information. They were like, "Okay, we'll have a think about it. Like, you know, we just want to be sure because you're the first professional photographer we'll have used." And then I was like, "When did I become a professional photographer?" Because maybe maybe we don't all innately think of ourselves as high as we should, or
Yeah.
yeah, it was just a weird moment for me where I was like, I'm a professional.
Yeah.
Better start acting like it and backing up my files.
Well, tying it, yeah, exactly. Tying into like being a professional and that whole thing of what we said like heaps earlier about feeling like you're just winging it. Bringing up like, the man's Pharrell again. He was literally talking today about.
Really love Pharrell.
I've been loving Pharrell lately. That man does it all. Do you know he makes cutlery?
What?
I shit you not. Pharrell makes cutlery called Otherware, made out of recycled CDs, and it is the dopest things I've
Can
ever
you buy
seen.
it online? Wait, Nick, can you find it?
You can. Otherware is. I'm yet to get it myself.
Oh, is it really expensive? Like, how much would you spend on cutlery?
On Pharrell's cutlery? A lot.
Did he spit on it? Anyway, maybe I'm
Made
not-
out of recycled CDs. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's designed chair. Look, the man has done it all. All right.
Sorry, what were you saying before I sassed Pharrell about his cutlery?
Yeah, he was talking about the idea. He was talking to another artist, Beck, who I actually don't know much about Beck.
BECK. Bro,
Yeah.
that's like,
Look at this. Bruh.
Far out.
Bruh. You get your little case.
We know everyone knows what to get Citizen K for Christmas.
If anyone gets me otherwhere, I will be so happy. Like, I don't think you understand how happy I'll be. It is so cool. Look at that. It comes with like chopsticks, a little spoon. Look. Oh, bruh.
Of all the places, of all the
Bruh.
things I didn't expect Pharrell to make,
Pharrell does it all.
Cutlery.
Look at this. Look at this.
I liked the pebble.
Right?
Oh, you can get yellow.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of looks like an AirPods case.
But cooler because
Yeah,
you
'cause-
eat your food with it.
Do you think this is like the new way of the music industry being like this
100%.
diversifying type?
Have
shit
we
you're
all had to
seeing now?
diversify?
Like,
I 100%
Like-
think it is.
it's the only way to make money.
Yeah. But also, like, from a creative point of view, we all, I'm sure, well, not even people who are in the creative industries, but we all have all these ideas. And it's what I was talking to before about, like, the idea of, like, the law of action. Just some people take initiative and just do it, and most of us don't. So it's like, and yeah, the diversifying thing. Kirklandd and I have actually had this conversation as well of, like, what are some other things that we enjoy and are into that kind of fit the branding. For me, like, being into Pharrell, weirdly enough, the cutlery totally fits his branding because it's some weird shit. Like, he's designed chairs. I'm just like, who gave Pharrell permission to design chairs?
He did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, so I think, yeah, diversifying and being able to do other things. I think for me personally, like, it's all sound related at the moment.
We've been really getting into VR as well.
Yeah, I've been loving VR. We did I got to do Foley for a VR project end of last year, start of this year. And such an experience. VR's for sure the future. Like, virtual reality is going to be the norm for sure. But just such a wild way to work, and it just really opened my mind and eyes and ears to all these different ways of how we actually interact with sound. I've been explaining to a few people, like, no matter what room you're in, you're hearing so much.
Yeah, we've had this conversation because if you go in a room and there's absolute, like, even now
Yeah.
I can hear.
There's fans running,
fan or
there's
something.
lights, there's always something happening, the tapping on the tables. And so what was happening on this project that we did was, it's because it's an animation, they had some music and obviously all the motion and stuff when you're in the world, but there was no actual world sounds. Like, when you walk, there was no footsteps, there was no wind, there was nothing. And so it was kind of freaking people out. You came out of it maybe a little bit dizzy or something.
Yeah, that would have been really, like, uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, you literally come out dizzy, like, because your ears don't have anything to hold on to. So even like that project just made me realize how much we actually depend on our ears and sound. Yeah, so
You weren't making the music; you were making the sounds.
yeah. So initially, I was brought in to do the music, and then, like, the whole team discovered the whole world needed sound.
Yeah, it was a problem that they've noticed once it
Yeah.
was done. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, you end up getting, like, someone else on to do the music stuff. Like, I assisted when needed, but I was thrown into being, like, a Foley artist for the first time and having
What
to.
Were
is
you
a
doing that in
Foley
your
artist?
studio?
Yeah,
Yeah.
studio. I was working out of Sydney, out of the apartment, just anywhere really, like outside. So Foley is literally,
I just use my musical ignorance.
yeah, actually, you can probably explain Foley better than I can.
Well, it's the natural sound kind
The
of.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like what Kojo was describing before. Yeah.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Yeah.
If someone's like
The
a
beat
movie.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
beat
yeah,
can
yeah. And how
sound.
they, like,
Yeah.
don't they literally, like, crack open a beat can in front of, like, microphones and stuff on movies? Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
much,
okay.
Yeah. Except now it's ruined it for me. I'm going to ruin this for other people too. I was in the studio for a nature doc getting the Foley done. Spiders walking is like people like with just sticky tape. So like that sound of like spiders' feet on whatever is just like sticky tape. Bird wings are all just tea towels and towels. Ruined it for me.
I don't watch a lot of nature documentaries,
Well,
so
when
I think
you
I'll be
do,
safe.
It'll
But
be ruined now because like the ants have sounds. You're like, wait, how can they hear like the sounds?
well,
of
they
the-
don't. It's a sound.
Yeah.
Oh.
I had a friend today who's done some nature stuff as well, and he's talking about this old David Attenborough one where they've got these two like squid or something fighting underwater, and there's literally like sword chinking like happening as the sound. But for whatever reason, no one bats an eyelid at it. But once you know, you're just like,
Once you know, you know.
yeah. So I mean, that ruins it.
That's kind of the beauty of it. It's successful when no one notices.
Yeah.
And same with editing and photo editing too. Like if you start noticing the photos being edited, like you've gone too far.
Yeah. And like even you saying about that photo that you took, like I would have never known that you spent ages like getting that to look like it does. For me, I'm like, Claire's a boss. It looks cool.
Yeah, so I'm really big on like, you know, documentary and also showing progress, because I think the biggest thing for me is I grew because people helped me grow. So I really love being transparent in everything that I do. So I'm kind of like, should I like explain how I edit things and do stuff like that? Is that helpful for people? I'm at a point where people are like kind of asking me questions, and I just like the sort of questions that I would be asking Michelle. Yeah. So yeah, my editing, editing is an interesting one. I had to explain to someone that they asked me to take some photos just for fun, and I was like, nah. No. And they were like, oh, no, it's like so fine. Just give me like the raw files. Like, don't even worry about editing them. And I actually had to explain that like a raw file isn't like a raw photo isn't a photo yet. It's a collection of like uncompressed data. It's not a photo. So I actually need to make it a photo, and then I also need to make it look good, because if you're going to put it out there, it's going to have my name on it. Yeah. And so therefore it needs to be at the standard. I can't just like give you this file. Because A, you won't be able to read it without this software, and B, please don't put it on the internet kind of thing. Like it's a whole thing that I guess is just a process that I'm just used to now. But
I think a big part from what all of us get to do actually in our own like creative disciplines that I've been really into is kind of unveiling a lot of the people we get to work with. From me, from a production and mixing point of view, I've been making a point to really show people what goes into getting that final product, because so much of the time people will come in, record some vocals, and it sounds okay, and then the next time they hear it, it is like a somewhat finished song. And I don't think most people understand what happens between that process. So I've been really adamant in having people at least in the studio with me and having to sit through the tediousness of me like with this 1 10-second loop, listening to it for an hour straight to get like the kick to sound right. Yep. And just like get them to understand how much actually goes into that process. Especially new artists that come in, and there's a couple of new artists that I'm working with at the moment that are doing their first original songs. And Mon was asking me today, she's just like, does it usually take this long for most people? We've been working on this song for like 2 months, which is not that long, from like scratch to where it is now. And I was just like, yeah, what do you mean? She's like, I just feel like it's taking a really long time. And it's just that thing of, when you don't know the process, I think it's easy for people to maybe not necessarily not value it, but
they
also
don't really
not
understand the
it.
capacity that you have to go through. I feel similar about photoshopping things out. Yeah. Like I was on a shoot recently, and they were like, we should do this and that'll look really cool. And I took one look around, there were people everywhere and there was stuff in the background. I was like, no, this isn't going to work. And they're like, well, why not? And I'm like, well, I don't want to spend 2 hours photoshopping all of this out.
But that's also another thing though that I've had to catch myself on. The curse of the knowledge. I've been finding that like the more I've learned in a weird way, the less creative and ambitious that I've been. Oh. Yeah.
Wait, how do you mean?
Well, in that same thing where because you know what has to go into it, you're like, well, I'm going to have to do all this photoshopping and all that. In a music sense, I found all this old stuff that I'd done, and I listened to it, I'm like, how the fuck did I think to do that? And it's because I didn't know any of the rules. I didn't know what I could and couldn't do. So
the bliss of ignorance.
It's like the ignorance made you limitless with what you did. Whereas now, if someone like has an idea, I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's going to work. And I found myself instantly being like, that's not going to work because of the knowledge and the experience. It probably won't work. But also I don't know that. So it's been this thing I've been having to catch myself on of I'll always initially react and say it's not going to work. And then I'll have to catch myself and be like, but let's do it anyway. Just so we both know.
Do you find like that extends to like your own, like if I, being a musician in like the capacity that you probably are, is not an easy thing to do, like building up a reputation. Would you look back at like you being young and making music and now think that was too hard? Like if you knew what goes into the process of doing that, would you still do it? Does that question make sense?
It makes heaps of sense. I strongly believe it's only as hard as you make it.
Okay.
Like, I genuinely believe that. The times when it has been hard is when I've been making it hard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something for me anyway with good music is usually pretty pure and straightforward. If you find yourself like hacking into it too much, then maybe you're trying to polish a turd a little bit.
Yeah, maybe you need to.
There's like, and I should clarify that as well, there is also going to be, when you get to like an 80-90% point in that last 5-10%, you might spend ages getting that right, which is normal. But yeah, I just find it's in the past and in the present right now, it's as hard as you make it. And that's been actually part of the resurfacing of me wanting to do more CK stuff again. Is I've kind of refound the whole letting go, just allowing myself to create. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I had one particular couple of nights where I did night shifts and just allowed myself to. I got to this point, like the 3-4 a.m. mark, where it was almost like I was too tired to argue with myself. And around that time, in all 3 days that I did it, the music that I made probably won't see the light of day, but they were so fun and so freeing. And I still listen back, I'm like, damn, that's cool, like super whack. But even the fact that I pushed through to a finished product because I was too tired to argue with myself was like, just reminded me of when I started making music. So that's been a big thing keeping in the back of my mind. Yeah, like the curse of the knowledge for one.
I feel that.
Yeah, and just letting go and like don't make it hard. See it through. There's always like, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but
no, it's something that I need to work on because I won't do it because I'm too much of a perfectionist. I can't allow myself to make a mistake. I can't do it. There's this very specific formula. I can't do things for fun because I won't like it and then I'll feel like a failure.
Yeah, but that's an issue. Like Genesis had an interview recently where he talked about like the beauty of being okay with making trash music. Like, yeah, be okay with making shitty music because that's usually how the good stuff will end up coming out. And he's so right. Like, I think it's the same for all art forms. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure all of us when we started, there was some not so great content that came out. But like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, through that, hopefully we've all gotten better at what we do. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's so right. And it's just that reminder again of just like, make trash shit.
I want that on a shirt.
Make trash music. Yeah. Make trash content. Yeah, I think it's essential. It's super essential.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's probably a good note to finish on, actually.
Yeah.
But, we did get a few questions in the chat.
Did we really?
Yeah. And I don't know if this is referring to the VR stuff you're doing, KJ, but we've got a question about your green morph suit.
What green morph suit? Was it like a green screen green?
Many years ago. No, I'm not going to tell the story. Actually, I should. Many years ago, there was an incident.
Can you guess who asked that question?
I'm guessing like Dane Dallinger or Jake Chalker or something. one of the boys.
Jimmy Pike.
Yeah, there you go.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. There was an incident where I tried some things for the first time and somehow ended up in a green morph suit and felt like I was king of the world. I'll keep it vague like that and let your imagination
are there
run
photos?
wild. I don't know.
If anyone has photos.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Hit up the chat.
Thanks, Jimmy.
And when are we going to see you performing with your bro again from Nick Hunt?
That's a good question. Don't know. Kofi and I haven't had that conversation. We made this... We kind of made it like a bit of a joke a few years ago of like we'd release an Ansah Brothers project every decade.
That would be dope.
Yeah, every 10 years, just a free mixtape. I would still like to do it, but, you know, he's a busy man. I'm a busy man. He's mostly a busy man. But that would be dope. I'm sure we obviously we're related, so we can't really avoid each other. And we like each other, so that's something. But yeah, hopefully not too long. But also, when it happens, and there's no need to force it.
I'll force it. We're like, do it now.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you for joining us for
Thanks
the
for
second
having
time.
us.
Yeah,
Returning
gracias.
guest. It's been awesome. Take care, and we'll catch you back here soon, I'm sure.
Much love.